You're such an asshole.
Hello, children. AssholeConsulting.com. You got questions, Cappy's got answers. But in this case, I don't, because I don't think this question's answerable. But you can go to AssholeConsulting.com, where I, the world's only professional asshole, things, stuff, money, make me not poor. Septic Tank Fund, subscribestar.com/Aaron Clary. All right. We had one of the most unique questions I've had from a true intellectual. I would say I am not disparaging the guy who sent in this question, but to the kind sir who sent this in, man, dude, I tried my best and I just got pissed the fuck off because my bullshit meter is about as high as it can get. Not from you, but these two guys who wanted me to tune into and listen and watch. So, he said a two-part question. The second part question was about this. Second, a while ago, I asked you for a video request about the CTMU theory developed by Chris Langan, which you could find at holology.org, HOLOGY.org. And so then I went there, and it's teleologic evolution. And it's written by this Chris Langan guy. And the CTMU is the cognitive theoretic model of the universe. It's a theory of reality as a self-simulation developed in the mid-1980s by Christopher Michael Langan. Some of the basic principles are discussed in this page, but will be better understood in full context of the full presentation. And then he said some videos and YouTubes. And I tried watching and I listened to some of the seminars he had been on and the radio shows that he had been on almost to, and what it ended up having, I put way more effort, way more than the hour I charged for, because I was like, I'm missing something. This isn't making any sense. And all I got out from all the interviews, the seminars that he did, is that there is a world out there that we can't perceive either with our own senses or whatever scientific tools we've come up with that explains everything. And he claims to have figured it out through the CTMU. And among other things, it's like, can we prove God exists? Yes or no? Apparently, according to the CTMU model, we can. But all I got from it, I'm waiting for the answer is 4, or E equals MC squared. Okay, how? What's the logic? Shoot, I'm no dumb guy. What do you got? Never got around to it. I'm like, wait. So then I downloaded his thesis, his paper. Now I'm just going to read a little bit through it here. Inasmuch as science is observational or perceptual in nature, the goal of providing a scientific model and mechanism for the evolution of complex systems ultimately requires a supporting theory of reality, of which perception itself is the model or universe or theory to universe mapping. Following you so far. Medium is the message. Got it. Where information is the abstract currency of perception, such a theory must incorporate the theory of information while extending the information concept to incorporate reflexive self-processing in order to achieve an intrinsic self-contained description of reality. All right? This extension is associated with a limiting formulation of model theory identifying mental and physical reality, resulting in a reflexively self-journeying, self-modeling theory of reality identical to its universe on the syntactic level. By the nature of this derivation, this theory, the cognitive theoretic model of the universe, or CTMU, can be regarded as a super tautological reality theoretic extension of logic, uniting the theory of reality with an advanced form of computational language theory. The CTMU describes reality as a self-configured, self-processing language of the SCSP. Done. Fuck you. Done. Now you can keep reading through all this, but the reason this is where my bullshit meter went up. It's like, dude, start using fucking words that exist. I know these words exist. Explain it. And it reminded me of two distinct things where my bullshit meters also went up. One, somebody sent in a request for me to do this conspiracy theory, not to do one, but to review one, where there's a bunch of people that have gone missing or died in the national parks. And I pissed away an hour. I'm like, okay, well, what's his theory? I don't know, man. Ain't it weird that people are missing in national parks? And it's something like 300 people have gone missing in the national parks in the 100+ years that the national parks have existed. I'm like, no. Well, what's this? I don't know. The bodies are moving. And then I'm like, oh, I see what this fucking charlatan piece of crap does. He gets you all tingly about, hey, look, some weird phenomenon. Yeah, so I guess that could be weird phenomenon. What's your thesis? What's your answer? Oh, I don't know, but it's pretty weird, huh, man? Come take my seminar. Oh, fuck you. Just get the fuck out of here. QAnon, kind of the same thing. So brilliant. Oh, I don't know, man. It's in the code. And so then the other time my bullshit meters is akin to that is during the .com bubble, where I was going way back in ancient history. I was influential. I wasn't the only person on the board. I determined whether, among other people, whether we would invest in certain things or not during the .com days. And every sales pitch that came over was like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to ram it. And I'm like, I still don't understand. Why is it? Well, we understand if you don't get it because it's really high level. And at that point, your standard investment bankers would just throw the fucking, I'm smart, I got an MBA from Harvard. Why do we have a .com poll? Me, I'm like, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Explain it to me. And so I'm sorry, I'm calling bullshit on Chris Langan. You either explain it clearly what the fuck you are trying to do or not. And don't use the fancy words, the ones you've even made up. I'm calling bullshit on it. Right? So that's why it's bullshit. So he could be right. I could be a complete idiot and not getting this. Or I'm just going to trust my gut because shock, boomers are involved in this one too. And they've never bullshitted their way before. You either start speaking English, explain what this shit does, what this metaphysics shit's supposed to do, or not. And by the way, explain it clearly. Just so we understand this is clear what we're setting out to do. All right. So I said, dude, I went back to the client. I said, dude, I can't. What the fuck? Frankly, I think he's a bullshit artist. I mean, he has every right to start proving me otherwise. Convince me I'm open-minded. But sorry. No. What is it? What do you got? Don't be, oh, I understand. If you don't understand, it's kind of high networking computer internet stuff. No. And then that kind of was corroborated with what I heard. I'm like, you're on and here's another thing. Well, if you had it, if you got the formula, why the fuck isn't it more published? Why are we running with this grand unifying theory? Why is this not at the front page? Hey, Chris Langan figured it out. Now we can do quantum computers and all this other amazing shit. We figured, you proved God existed? Well, shouldn't that be front page news? And then he gets into, well, God is everywhere. Oh, fuck off. Really? That's it? I'm a 19-year-old sophomore, man. Like, God's everywhere. That's what you got, huh? So I said, nah, I smell shit. So he says, oh, okay, well, and I admit, maybe I just don't get it. But the presentation was shit. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Then he says, I said, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. Da-da-da. And he says, okay, if you couldn't understand that, take a look at Tom Campbell, Dr. Tom Campbell, NASA physicist, and his big theory about everything. He wrote a book called My Big Toe, Theory of Everything. And he was a little bit more better. He was. And I watched this 18-piece YouTube series. And he starts in with the physics. He says, okay, Einstein, I want to have this grand unifying theory that will explain all objective observations in the world. Quantum mechanics, and then, not theoretical, hang on, let me get the notes. Quantum mechanics and what else? Relativity, theory of relativity. And he tried to, well, then Tom, we didn't even get the observable, the objective phenomenon we witnessed in the universe. Tom Campbell wants to go in about subjective reality. And so his expertise is consciousness and sentience, which I'm not against. Not against. Like, well, okay, that's a reality. That's a thing. You know, do we pick up everything? Do our eyes see? Do we hear everything? How do we interpret? I thought it was going to be synapses and neurochemistry, and this is how you translate light into vision in your brain. Didn't even go into that. So he goes through a history of observable phenomena within the universe and historic history of physics and physicists. They talk about different experiments where if they weren't watching it with equipment, it would have X, but if it was observed, it resulted in Y. I'm like, okay, so conscience, a sentience, or observing somebody witnessing this has an effect on the okay. And it keeps going and going. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the E equals MC squared time. Where is it? And then at about halfway through the seminar, it's like, so it's kind of like we're living in a digital world and our brains are all computers and we interpret digital data. I'm like, that's not shocking. There's this movie called The Matrix. It was in the 90s. It was like, hey man, dude, like what if we were just like seeing things where it wasn't real, man? And so when he started going down this road, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I've just been sitting at the gym listening to this fuckwit. I was lifting weights for an hour. I'm like, okay. And he's going to give me we're in the Matrix? No shit, buddy. No kidding. Really? We're in the Matrix possibly. Like, and I don't really, see what blue is. Blue might be a different color to you but we all agree that whatever wave pattern, that's blue. What if it's really not blue? And the way we're interpreting it, what if our environment is all like concocted, and if it was real, and then God would have to fit within these? I'm like, okay, wow, okay, maybe you're 19 and a half years old. And then I just got pissed when I'm like, did you just waste not my client, but did this doctor just waste an hour of my time to say, hey, our brains rely on external senses to sense and interpret and read reality. But can we actually see reality? And what if the reality is the Matrix? Like, wow, holy shit. Is there no spoon? So, and then he wants me to do it. I'm like, okay, I'll be honest with you to my client. I got more faith in Dr. Campbell than I do Chris Langan, simply because of the verbose bullshit in his paper. All right. And no one ever gets to the, dude, don't you think it's weird people are dying in the national parks? Or, well, I can understand if you don't understand it. It's pretty high-end stuff that only smart people could get. Give me that money. Right? I'll give Campbell a little more credit than Langan. All right. But regardless of whether they're frauds or whether they actually think they got something, they just haven't really explained very clearly how to do that. Or, and this is definitely the case, they are the worst possible communicators possible, because I like to think if you got the answer to the universe and consciousness, you'd say, oh, here it is. Or you do a hell of a lot better packaging it. Like, for example, one of the reasons, aside from the fact I admit I don't know anything, not everything, anything when it comes to economics, because you can't know anything. And that's why I'm one of the world's greatest economists. In addition to that, when I teach or explain or consult what are relatively complex economic concepts, I first say, maybe I ought to boil it down to digestible and understandable basics as to what the fuck this economic theory or this economic concept or this economic idea does or claims to do. I don't come in using what I think, frankly, are made up bullshit words. Just read through it. Some of which are true. I know I've seen the words before. I'm like, okay, that's suspicious. I use regular common language It's like, see, because, dude, your perception. Well, what if the brain and the reality, it can't interpret it, so it's not real, man? There, Campbell and Langan. What if you guys have your message so fucked up, so fucking lost, so fucking all over the place, nobody can pick up on it? So it doesn't exist. Like, if the tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, does it make a noise? So at minimum, these guys need way better PR agents, or they need to make it much clearer. They need to have sort of, hey, let me translate for you. All right? And that's why I think I got pissed off, where it's like, I hate having my time wasted. And I hate having people purposely either talk over my head with let alone bullshit made up words, or acting like the theory is so complex and you need to, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe you dumb it. Oh no, I just can't. It's so complex. It's like, not once has it been like, oh wow, that's really complex. You're right. I can't understand it. Nope. It's always been, oh, it's bullshit. And if we boil it down to a very simple thing, it basically boils down to, what if we interpret things differently, man? Now, in theory, yeah, it would be great to know, hey, if a butterfly flaps its wings, we could be able to figure out if a tornado forms in Kansas and how you'd feel about it consequently, which is where metaphysics get into theory, psychology, feelings, emotion. I'd argue that you have a non-sentient physical world, a non-conscious world that happens to the laws of physics. And then when it comes to a sentient world, well, then you have choice, you have sentience, which I'm waiting for you guys. Is that it? Do you have the formula for sentience? And so it's chaotic and random. So maybe your interpretation, like I said, Campbell's a little bit closer. But yeah, my opinion is these guys need to really up their game in their communication skills. They really need to explain. Now, maybe an advanced physicist can understand this shit, what they're talking about, right? Maybe. But I'm still waiting. And here's where you got to think as an economist. For example, the wage gap between men and women. If the wage gap was really 20% or whatever they claim it is today, back in the day it was like 30%, no company would hire women or men. None. You just got to find out what they're saying. All right, well, then what would be a logical thing that would fall from this, be a consequence of it if this were true? Well, if corporations could save 30% on their labor, they would be hiring no men. It didn't happen that way. So you could tell that that claim is bullshit. And if these guys have it figured out, right? Well, I'm waiting. Well, wouldn't the scientific community like give them the Nobel Prize in physics? Wouldn't we have been drawing from it? Like I would have seen it. Would it be obscure people writing obscure books with obscure websites? Wouldn't there have been like, holy cow, it proved it. We proved God. That might, I don't know, maybe make the second page of the New York Times. Maybe. No, it hasn't happened. Why? Because I think it's bullshit. Prove me wrong. Right? I would like to believe that there's some progress here or there's something tangible here. I don't see it. I don't. Maybe I got to read My Big Toe. Maybe I got to spend 10 years to get the vocabulary down to read this bullshit paper. But I'm sorry. You got to go. You did all this formulaic calculation and read. Did you? All right. How about you explain it so that people understand it? How about you take that little bit of a step? It's like making this amazing meal, but giving no one utensils to eat it. It's like, well, what the fuck? Oh, it's the greatest meal ever. This meal will do amazing things. How do I eat it? Well, you can't. Oh, okay. Bye. So there you go, buddy. I'm wondering if any of you guys in the audience here, like, do you know who these people, I mean, have you? Sounds like BS. Word salad. Yes, DM, exactly. Metaphysics is more of belief in spiritual world along with physical, but in most cases, people get detached from the world and its rules. Yeah. Boo, 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 boo. Occam's razor. I know. It's just like this. And metaphysics is nothing without epistemology. Epistemology is the far more interesting side of this talk, but these fraudsters never talk about it. Well, epistemology, somebody tell me what the fuck. I saw that before. feelings over fact. Oh. All right. There you go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. See you guys later. Toodles.